Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Thursday, Sunday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Bitcoin still in the same range that we were looking at yesterday, more or less, basically. And a few major things are starting to formulate that I do believe are coming into the picture perhaps as soon as tomorrow, that being Friday. Very likely big setups coming into early portion of next week. So this is all basically a preparation for that and what's to come. And other than that, oh yeah, I'm going to be on a video with Benjamin Cowan later today, which I'm really looking forward to. And then also, I'll once again shill aggressively or subtly my Instagram. Been doing some very short Bitcoin updates there on the stories feature. I understand that that's not gonna be for everyone, of course, because there's other things on Instagram as well on my feeds, which you may or may not be into. It's all good, man. But if you are interested, there is a link in the description below. And then most importantly, any other account but the one that you see in the description below is a scammer. It's not me. Please understand that I don't have any sort of secret trading group or anything like that. And yeah, I think we just move on from there. All right, so let's pick up where we left off from yesterday. So yesterday, I was looking at hidden bearish divergence on the short-term time frames. I think it was also potentially even building up all the way to a 12-hour time frame over here, although no, it did not get confirmed. But on the short-term time frames, yeah, it did get confirmed. But did see a short-term time frame move to the downside of the range for CME, which was 19,700 or so. Would have liked to have seen it a little bit lower than that, but ultimately good enough is good enough in this case. And what do we have right here? Well, we have bullish divergence actually formulating on the other side right now, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4 drives coming off the lows, which would be overall good. Probably at least for a test to the top side of this descending formation that Bitcoin is seemingly wedging itself into right here, which I have coming in at around 21,200 or so. Anywhere around there is fair game. So short term, do we see a move somewhere back around there? Perhaps yes, but ultimately, as long as Bitcoin is following these lower highs right here, it is still an overall downtrend, and a threat of a short-term move to the downside does still remain. The question is, as I have been kind of postulating this week, did we already see that move to the downside in the short term or not? Was that the move yesterday to just 19.7? Because that was not like a super strong downside move, to be fair. It recovered rather well after Jay Powell started speaking. But ultimately, the big focus is on the obvious signal, the big signal. For my own self, when it comes to trading, I'm not interested in playing the things that I'm less confident on. It's not even confidence, just the things that are lower probabilistically speaking. I'm just not interested as a trader. I consider that gambling. But what I am interested in is, of course, the signal that we've been looking at brewing for the past almost 4 or 5 days now, which we'll go over in a second here. But as far as this goes, this would essentially imply that as long as Bitcoin is especially below that trend line, or even just as long as Bitcoin's below that last lower high, which is 21,500, I believe. Sorry, it's actually more like 21,600 or so. We still have a downtrend and an overall threat lower upon a break of the overall bottom side support, which is 19,650 on even a 4-hour time frame. Below there, then yes, we would have a technical measured move, which I will plot out right now, although I think it's more likely we probably try a little bit of upside here short term, if anything, and that'd be pointed down around about 18,000 bucks. Here's the thing though, if Bitcoin can trade above, especially that last lower high, maybe front runnable on a break of the actual trend line right here, which is about 21,200 on a closing basis, then I would be looking for at minimum a move back up somewhere around at least that last prior high, which is probably more like around here, 22.4 maybe even 22.5, which has great confluence with the weekly 200 simple moving average, as that is going to be a natural area to be aware of going onwards and forwards from here. As long as Bitcoin's below there, it is of course risk on, but I imagine we're probably going to see some oscillations around there. It was like a big meme, right, where people are like, I mean, maybe for good reason as well, Bitcoin has never broken the 200 simple on the weekly. It's like, it's never going to do it. Of course, moving average support band to be broken. It's a ridiculous concept to suggest that just because something never happened, it will never happen again. Just Bitcoin hasn't been around for long enough to do it, realistically speaking. But in this case right here, it could be a good trappy area, if you will. So keep an eye on that, because if Bitcoin does start to trade above that region, yeah, I would be looking for it to rip, another 1,500 bucks higher, maybe even all the way to 23,500 to 24,000 bucks, as we do see some pretty obvious ranges coming in right around here. So do keep an eye on that, perhaps even over the weekend. So with that in mind, until then, what am I looking at? Maybe something like this, maybe something like that. And we'll get resolution probably coming into next week, obviously, because CME is not going to be trading over the weekend. So let's go check out stochastic momentum just to see kind of where we're at for the moment. And we do see on 6 hours stochastic momentum, we'll actually see it turn back up with any sort of a closure here or higher, which is closing in Actually 3 hours and 14 minutes, so not that soon, but that would be 20,530. So keep your eyes on that number. 4 hour will also turn up above 20,600. Okay, so we see things coming in around the same levels. 12 hour will be continuing with upside and also breaking the moving average on this, as long as Bitcoin is above 19,850. Again, corrective signal here, but good enough for maybe an extension of the bounce. 3 hour is going to be showing upside above 20,000, and hourly is going to be up above 20,200. So fair enough. I'd be looking at the 4 and 6 hour in this case as kind of governing the short term, and seeing, you know, what happens if and when Bitcoin does get somewhere just above 21 right there. So I'm gonna get rid of the LARP lines for right now. And what else do I want to get into? Well, I suppose this is the time where we go check out funny rates for an extra bias on this. Not giving us anything for the hourly here, 0%, which, you know, this has been incredibly accurate for us, barring one failed iteration this past weekend for the past few months. But for right now, no bias at all, literally 0%. So I don't have any major opinion on that. Other than that, what else can we look at? We can look at, of course, my favorite chart over here. There is something new to be spoken about. I don't know. English, what the fuck? Anyways, there's something new on this chart over here. The volatility versus stochastic momentum mean reversion chart, of which, look at this, we do see 100 percentile on both the BBWP and the moving average itself. So naturally speaking, this will imply that the BBWP will be inherently cooling off maybe as soon as tomorrow, meaning below the moving average itself and below 100 percentile, perhaps as late as Monday or Tuesday of this next coming week. At that point, you know, it might take another day or two. There's a little bit of variability in that, to be fair, but ultimately that is typically where we do see the very high quality mean reversion plays based off of this overall signal over here. So the original signal, I'm not going to go over that again because I don't want to bore the shit out of people, and I imagine it's probably mostly the same people watching anyways. But as far as this signal goes, it's maturing now, which is a good sign. On top of that, we see the daily stochastic momentum oscillator turning as well. The reason why that is important is because the stochastic momentum oscillator has gone the correct direction on that signal for 82% of the time. Might even be going up if this one does bounce as well. And the daily will actually cross the upside above 21,100, which you'll notice, or sorry, you'll remember probably from back on over here, that would be above, or yeah, that'd be above actually, or basically around that current trend line that we do see declining here. Definitely around end of day today, that'll actually be around 21,100. So if Bitcoin can close a daily above there, then I would say that's a good early indication that Bitcoin's most likely to bounce a pretty good amount to the upside from here. As we have gone over in the past, the statistical analysis of this has shown that the average reversion has done about 15.24% from the signal given. And the signal given, again, is like what we saw over here basically in May, where we need to see the BBWP getting below the moving average with a negative slope, and then the moving average doing the same thing. If we have all three of those components, that's like the full-on no holds bar signal, although sometimes we do see it with just the BBWP getting below the moving average. Although, you know, again, this one over here is just so fucking picture perfect. I expect it to kind of operate in that same way. So it completely depends on where the signal actually, you know, gets fired off from, so where those measurements can kind of get taken from as well. But let's just, you know, hypothecate. I don't fucking know again. But let's just say, let me get rid of this for right now, as it looks like maybe that moves a little bit less likely to happen. But let's say, you know, it happens from this region right here. Okay, so we, you know, take the average of that, 15.5% or so, puts Bitcoin actually right around our daily range highs, which is 23 to 30. So that'd be the area of interest. But here's the thing. This is an average that I've taken over all of the past iterations that we've seen in the past, actually, I think 3 years now. So some of them we've seen higher. You can see this one over here is almost 35%. Some of them we've seen lower, of course, as well. So I actually do think that there's good reason to believe that this one probably is going to be on the upper end of that, simply because we're seeing extremes here for a much longer time after basing off for a longer time as well. So if we play around with the numbers, again, we're making two assumptions now. So not only the average bounce, but also where that bounce starts from. But let's just say it starts hypothetically from here. That's the word. That's it. Hypothetically. There we go. Hypothetically, it starts from here. If we were to say like 25%, that puts Bitcoin at $25,000. If we say, you know, 35%, that puts Bitcoin around the last gap fill that we saw from 13th of June. If we kind of cut that to the middle, you know, maybe somewhere right around about 26. So those would be areas of interest upon validation of that signal. Again, it completely depends upon where we actually start that one from. So where is the daily open when this one actually does fire off the full and unambiguous signal, similar to like we saw back on over here, which by the way was not the actual low. In fact, this would be a really good time to kind of speak about this for a second. So people have, there's been a few really good comments about this saying, hey, Krown, what do you mean bounce? Bitcoin's already bounced X percentage off the lows. Fair enough. Yes. Just like over here, Bitcoin bounced up 25% off the lows, like very, very nice. But it wasn't, the signal didn't actually formulate itself until over here. And that was the high quality one alongside these stochastic momentum models that are giving the same direction as well. So why do I say that? Well, this over here kind of wick fishing into a region like that, from the way that I look at things, is more or less gambling. There, what's your edge there? How are you, how is the signal being defined? I mean, it could maybe go off of like horizontal support and resistance, blah, 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 blah. Fair enough. Have to do the data for that as well. But in this case, I would say based off the signal, that's not the one I'm looking for. Even though that move was actually bigger, I look at that move as more risky, because where does it fucking start from? Did we do it from the day before? Did we do it from the day before that? It's ambiguous. I'm looking for the more obvious thing, the thing that can be actually tested over time. And that's what we see over here. And that's what I suspect that we'll see over here as well. And it's just going to be a question of, where does Bitcoin kind of land at these levels? So I think that's a good place for me to kind of leave this one off. Again, I'll probably do a Bitcoin update later today if necessary, especially if Bitcoin actually breaks this area to the upside. Although for right now, I think it's a little bit more likely to do something like this, where we maybe test somewhere around there, come back down, open up next week, and then come back to it after that. So I'll be signing off with that. I want to be wishing you well yet again. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.